What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, I just was watching TBV, the boxing voice. Shouts out to Ness and Ring Walk Danny, my brother Ring Walk Danny. And everybody's talking about undefeated two-time WBC super middleweight world champion, Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, David, the Mexican monster, Benavidez, who stated that, if Terence Crawford wants to get a fight, Terence Crawford is undefeated 3-division world champion, undisputed 2-division world champion, and widely acknowledged and recognized as the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, with a record of 40 wins, no losses, no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout. He's 36 years of age, 5'8", with a 74-inch arm reach. Terence Crawford recently called out after his big victory, July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena, where Terence Crawford became undisputed in 2 separate weight classes, right? He defeated Earl the True Spence Jr., and afterwards, Terence Crawford was widely acknowledged and recognized as the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And he started to set his focus and his sights on 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who is undisputed super middleweight world champion, and widely considered and recognized and acknowledged as one of the faces, if not the face, of the sport of boxing, in Saul Canelo Alvarez. Saul Canelo Alvarez has a record of now 60 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He's the undisputed super middleweight world champion. Canelo Alvarez campaigned at 168. The problem here is that David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, who has a big fight coming up this Saturday, David Benavidez is 27 wins, no losses, no draw, 23 big wins by way of knockout, 26 years of age, 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. He's going to face undefeated 2-division world champion Demetrius Boo Andrade this upcoming Saturday night. Now, David Benavidez, why is he the 2-time WBC super middleweight world champion and he has no losses? Because he lost his belt on the scale, then he lost his belt due to recreational drug use, right? So he's been stripped of his title. He never actually lost his title. So with that said, the second time he lost his title on the scale during the global pandemic, Canelo Alvarez campaigned for that title, okay? He was the unified middleweight champion. He then became the light heavyweight WBO champion. Then he decided to set his sights on 168 after David Benavidez was stripped of his titles, and Canelo Alvarez was seen as being viewed as strategically avoiding a fight with David Benavidez. He became undisputed in under a calendar year, and he did so without fighting David Benavidez, who was considered the best fighter at 168 before Canelo Alvarez made this division his home. Before Canelo Alvarez decided that he was going to campaign at 168, the best fight at 168 was always considered to be David Benavidez, and the biggest fight in this division was Caleb Plant, who was the undefeated IBF champion, for a unification bout against David Benavidez. But again, David Benavidez was stripped of the title. Canelo Alvarez comes into the division. He picks up the vacant WBC title at the same time he's fighting against Caleb Smith, who was the WBA super middleweight world champion. And he fights and beats Caleb Smith and becomes the unified WBC, WBA super middleweight world champion. Then he goes on and he faces Rocky Fielding, Abiel Durham. He defends the titles. And then he fights Billy Joe Saunders for the WBO title, okay? After he beats Billy Joe Saunders, he stops Billy Joe Saunders. He then fights and beats Caleb Plant in for undisputed, right? Then became undisputed. So the original big unification bout, the biggest fight in the division, was Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez, okay? And obviously David Benavidez stripped. Caleb Plant got the bigger money fight against Canelo Alvarez for undisputed instead of just unifications. And he got knocked out in the 11th round by Canelo Alvarez. And then David Benavidez ends up getting the Caleb Plant fight. He goes the distance. So Caleb Plant and David Benavidez were the best 2 168-pounders in the world. nonetheless, now Canelo Alvarez is perceived as such. And now people want to see Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez. But here's where it gets interesting, because a bigger money fight, a bigger draw is actually Terence Crawford, who set his sights on Canelo Alvarez and stated that, you know what, I want to jump up 3 weight classes and become undisputed in 3 separate weight classes. And Terence Crawford is viewed as the best fighter in the world, right? And time is not on his side. He's 36 years of age, right? And so this is what Terence Crawford wants to do. He wants to fight Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez are fighting the fans are calling for. So now David Benavidez is stating he's going to beat Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade on Saturday, which is no easy feat. Andrade is undefeated, 32 wins, no loss, no draw, 19 wins by way of knockout, 6 feet tall, with a 74-inch arm reach. He's a southpaw, he's slick, and he has power. And so with that said, now he's setting his sights on a fight with, Canelo Alvarez, that being David Benavidez. He beat Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. He wants to fight Canelo Alvarez, right? So he did an interview. Obviously, this is fight week, right? Their weigh-in is tomorrow. Today is the holidays, but the weigh-in is tomorrow. Saturday is the fight. And he's doing the interviews, and he says that if Terence Crawford wants to fight with Canelo Alvarez, he's going to have to go through me, right? And the WBC, World Boxing Council, President Mauricio Suleiman, board of 32 members, have now stated that they are going to, order and mandate that Canelo Alvarez fights the winner of this fight, mainly David Benavidez. So he's saying that, he's not going to step aside to allow Canelo Alvarez to fight Terence Bud Crawford. But if Terence Crawford wants to come to the division and Canelo Alvarez doesn't want to fight David Benavidez, he's stating that he'll gladly fight against Terence Bud Crawford, right? He have to go through me. And so this is sparking the question, and many people are saying that Terence Crawford is showing zero interest, little to no interest in fighting David Benavidez. Oddly enough, he beat his big brother, Jose Benavidez, at welterweight, and he knocked him out in the 12th round. So they have a history, the Benavidez family, but they have respect. And so the question is being asked, what is the bigger fight? If Terence Crawford fights David Benavidez and beats him, or if Terence Crawford fights Canelo Alvarez and beats him? Well, it's just pretty obvious that if you fight and beat Canelo Alvarez, who's already an established legend, okay, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a cash cow. He's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, draw in the sport of boxing. He's done multiple million pay-per-views. He's a surefire Hall of Famer. He has 60 wins and only 2 losses to 2 draws. One questionable win against Erislandy Lara and Triple G that could have went either way. Nonetheless, Canelo Alvarez is top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world. He's well accomplished. So Terence Crawford fighting and beating David Benavidez is a huge accomplishment. But David Benavidez has not accomplished. It's not a defining legacy fight, right? It's a huge fight. It's a big fight. It's an important fight. And David Benavidez will be viewed as the boogeyman, and Terence Crawford moved up 3 divisions and beat the boogeyman. But it'll go down ultimately just like when he beat Victor Postol, depending upon how David Benavidez's career plays out moving forward. But if Terence Crawford moves up and fights and beats Canelo Alvarez, there's no doubt this places him in a different category in history, how he's remembered, how he's revered moving forward. He beats Canelo Alvarez. He jumps up 3 weight classes from 147 to 168, challenges and beats Canelo Alvarez for undisputed. That speaks volumes. Now, the question is, can he get that fight? What's the reality of that? The reality is he would more than likely have to go through David Benavidez first. Now, Canelo Alvarez can pick and choose what direction. The WBC, if he decided that he wanted to fight Terence Bud Crawford, the WBC is not going to strip Canelo Alvarez of his title in favor of David Benavidez. They're simply not going to do that. That's just not going to happen. So, with that said, right, Canelo Alvarez is the bigger fight, is the bigger draw. And, when you look at the size, now Terence Crawford recently stated that, he wasn't really truly interested in going to 168 because they his weight classes for a reason. But then he said he looked at the landscape, he looked at the situation, and Canelo Alvarez only being 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. Terence Crawford is actually probably slightly taller. He has a 4-inch arm reach advantage. Canelo Alvarez actually fought at 147 at one point in time. He was campaigning at 54, 60, and then 68, 75. David Benavidez is a big guy, a massive guy. He's a very, very big guy. So it's a difference, right? But again, if you're going to campaign that weight class, you got to knock on everybody's door, and that's understandable. But is he ducking David Benavidez as of right now to look forward to fighting Canelo Alvarez? Absolutely not. And what is the bigger fight and the bigger victory? 1,000% is Canelo Alvarez for Terence Crawford. He can beat David Benavidez, and that's a huge win, right? But beating Canelo Alvarez is legacy defining. There's the difference, point blank and period. So is he ducking David Benavidez to fight Canelo Alvarez? Absolutely not. He's 36 years of age. Time is not on his side. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. Canelo Alvarez historically fights on 2 dates, which is Cinco de Mayo weekend and the Mexican Independence Day weekend, and he might squeeze a third fight before the year is up. But he typically fights and historically fights on those dates. And we have to see what's next for Canelo Alvarez, right? Terence Crawford has a rematch clause that he has to satisfy with Errol Spence Jr. So we might not even, the conversation may be null and void because Canelo Alvarez may automatically fight David Benavidez in May, and then he beats David Benavidez. The conversation is null and void anyway, point blank and period. But Terence Crawford is not ducking David Benavidez, and the bigger fight and the bigger win, legacy-defining fight for Terence Crawford, 1,000% is Canelo Alvarez. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. So all I got for y'all. I'm gone. Peace.